but we'll stick with brain. That's amazing. Yeah. I love fun words, so I love that you have such a fun word. Is there like an age that's targeted with the game?
Our target market is 35 to 65. And it's really anyone who
Interesting. And you said you just got in the App Store?
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting. I've been talking about it forever, It's in the App Store. I can't complain about that. Thank you, by the way. That was awesome. That's right.
Antoine and Rebecca. I was here last week.
Last week? Oh, you were here
Last week was my first week. Yeah, we're on top. Yeah, it's really great to hear. Yeah, let's look for sure. Is he like a regular attendee or did Wes come to speak?
No, he came to speak. He used to be, they got that phenomenal business going. You know, that's what I'm trying to get. Yeah, what do you do?
I own a mycology business. We grow mushrooms.
But now,
right. It's like a lot of health benefits to it.
A whole bunch of health benefits. Yeah, they're trendy and popular. People are finding out. What? In Aiken. I live in Columbia, but the business is in
What's the coffee called? Coffee a lot.
There's one that's Force Matic. It's probably what you've seen in the stores. That's like a big. Yeah, there's like coffee with lion's mane mushrooms. So it's kind of a big popular. What's your business? Accountability coach. Wow, I bet everyone needs an accountability coach.
Exactly what I want.
That's really cool. How long have you been an accountability coach?
I finally made the drop last week.
Wow.
I was trying to figure out what my thoughts were. I decided to work on the first step was to specialize in something. Right? So I chose accountability in business.
I'm not coming.
see me get a little nervous. No, I like having an account. How'd you get into that?
I quit my job 2 years ago. And I had absolutely no
Comes from a place of knowing.
Exactly.
So you had to be accountable.
I had to be accountable.
Were you a project manager?
I was an operations manager. Yeah. Over 4 prison health hospitals here in Columbia.
God bless you.
Security too. But one of the leaders had handed me a book about accountability, and when I quit my job, that was like the first one I picked up, and I was like, you know what? I just kept going for 2 years, and I'm just like, it can't be that simple to just be what is your lens? And so I built this entire program, kind of have all my material now, I know what I want to do, I know who I want to help, I'm ready to go. I will be presenting in September.
Okay.
September 10th, I will be presenting, and I'm putting my presentation. I've been coming for the last maybe like 7 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Watching the presenters, learning, taking notes, finding out how I want to present.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too, man. I'm super excited. Right, I got something special too, so you might want to come.
Oh, we'll
it's not gonna be like regular presentation. It's a little different.
Little razzle dazzle.
Little razzle dazzle. You know what I'm saying?
This lady next to me.
How you doing? I gotta get back to you. I'm coming.
Oh, it's okay. It's something. Everybody's It's whatever you're.
I'm coming. Me and my wife had a conversation about it. Me and my wife, we had a conversation about it. We were like, I want to do this. She was like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's not jump into it. But I'm coming.
I love when people are
I got all my fun.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm ready to.
It is strong. I just took a sip and
I had to go add hot water to it. I'm like,
make it Americano.
Okay.
yeah, on the bread.
It's been pretty quiet, but like I have like a long list of things that I'm going to things at the beach this week and it's just been quiet a bit. I think a lot of people are like winding down the summer and getting ready.
Come back to that.
How about you?
I get spoiled. The summer when the students come on.
Yeah. Especially with parking and stuff down there.
Trader Joe's is crazy.
Yeah. What side of town are you on? Oh, okay. Well, we've all got one Trader Joe's.
I know.
Yeah.
I know my husband and I were talking about where to retire. So we're looking at Smith Mountain Lake up in Virginia.
Oh, what part of Virginia?
Are you going to Ron's conference in October?
Not far western, but like midwestern.
I used to live in Virginia, Hampton Roads area.
Like Roanoke, Lynchburg,
Oh, okay.
and then Smith Mountain Lake.
Oh, okay.
And I go, but there's no Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
I think this closest Trader Joe's is like Charlottesville.
Oh.
Just go to Charlottesville once a month.
You're retired.
Exactly.
Where's Chef Jay? I hear her. Good morning. We're going to try something new today, and this is because Chef Jay made the comment that she needed something other than theory. So, I work in advertising, and I want to show you a commercial. We often think commercials have to be expensive and complicated. This one ran many, many years ago, and it won the Super Bowl. USA Today's survey on the Super Bowl. Anthony, can you run it for me? I don't know if there's sound to it. There should be. Dad, how much do you think that cost to make?
1.3 million.
No. The placement was 1.3 million.
It
About
probably cost
$10.
$150 and a couple of Snickers bars.
Yes. So when we talk about you need to advertise, We're not talking about you have to be expensive. You have to be smart and human and relatable. They did that on the Super Bowl when people were spending $5-6 million in production. And I can tell you because I worked at the agency that did Master Lock, and we spent $1.4 million to do our spot, and then this ran. So now we got to sit in front of the client and explain how FedEx could do a $5,000 spot and pay the 1.3, and we just spent 2.6 when you count the production and the placement. So when we start talking to you guys, it's all theory until you put it into practice, but you got to put it into practice. If you're not marketing and advertising your business, you're not doing yourself justice. The world ain't gonna seek you out. So I'm gonna try and start putting up commercials and examples that aren't expensive, aren't elaborate, but they show what small businesses can do. Now, some of them you will have seen, but that's how I want to start the meetings from now on, just to get us to thinking about doing something with our business. Next week will be, it's like a mini mall. Those of you that, some of you may have seen it, it went viral. It is a stupid commercial, but it worked.
All right, kids, you know the drill. Please scan the QR code and let's take attendance. If this is your first time joining us, please scan the QR code and become our friend. So I'll give everybody just a couple of minutes to take care of that. Sorry for the flashy screens. Just, want to keep y'all alert.
You did. Actually ran it.
It should. Is it USB-C or is it a regular firewire?
I don't know what that. Alright, everybody, attendance. We're going to go through our housekeeping and then we're going to get started with today's program. So, welcome. This is 1 Million Cups, and the mission of 1 Million Cups is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for all types of new, seasoned, and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. We have some key pillars. We give presentations, not pitches. We make authentic connections. We're not just here to network. And we're radically and intentionally inclusive, and we're run for the community, by the community. And what I mean by that is these are your local businesses that bring this to you every week. So we are grateful to the USC Technology Incubator for housing us every Wednesday, and the folks below are local business owners that provide you the free coffee, the marketing. We get our presenters in here. We help coach the presenters. We basically run the program. Do we get paid? No, absolutely not. We are sharing our time and our talents just because we believe in this community. And all you get is a lousy t-shirt. I've got 2 lovely models in the back. Check that out. They're as hot as my golf garden babies. That's right. So if you want to look that hot, join us. We have lots of jobs we're happy to share. Call for presenters. So we are actively looking for presenters. We are now, as of September, going to be doing 2 presenters at a meeting. So I'm going to be booking now for September and October. If you're interested, please remember, it is not a sales pitch. It is not an investor pitch. The goal is to have people understand what you do and some of the challenges that you have had in building your business. We want to know your entrepreneurial journey. We do like companies that are younger, or maybe you have a great idea that you want to bring to the community. We love those ideas as well. All industries are welcome. You can apply here at this link, or you can come and see me or any of our organizers after the meeting today. This is our local Facebook page. We've got two. If you're not a member of this one, please scan and become a member. One is the, I guess, the national Facebook page for Columbia, and this is kind of like our little family group. So we're encouraging engagement, questions, resources that you'd like to share. We encourage that type of activity on this page. Upcoming presenters. So we've got some great people coming to you in the next couple of weeks. Is it Casey or Cassie? Casey. Thank you. Okay. Casey will be here. She is a former organizer, and she is going to come and share her whole story, beginning from her time with 1 Million Cups into what she is doing now, which is some big, amazing things. And then we have Miss Adina Maynard. And now Adina presented a year ago with an app, a game that she had created. And so I'm excited. We're going to get a 1-year update from her from the time. Do you have a question now?
I was just saying, my birthday's on the 7th, so y'all would do like a double that day.
And Al's birthday is on the 7th. I will put that in there. There we go.
31.
So we're going to have a 1-year update to hear how far she's come and what she's up to now. Following her presentation on the 20th, we have Teresa Tidwell-Smith. She has a business called Meaningful Escape. She's going to share her journey with us. And then the lovely Jada Willis is going to come in on finishing our month of August. She's another former organizer with 1 Million Cups who's going to come back and share what her journey's been like, starting with us and then moving on. I'm excited for this one, folks. So this is our presenter today. Lovely. Suggest you do that right after we leave here today. Kiki's Chicken and Waffles has been voted the best soul food in Columbia. They opened their doors in 2012 and have been serving delicious homemade soul food dishes to raving customers ever since. They pride themselves on prompt service, friendly staff, and a family-friendly atmosphere. And Kiki's is more than just a place to dine, it's a place to entertain where everyone is family. And they do. They all of that is true. So let me get her plugged up while you guys welcome her. How are you?
I finally get to meet the infamous Kiki. I heard you talking about her. She's so amazing.
Look at those.
I would either. I'm actually so when he was here,
Good morning. How are y'all today? Thank you so much for the introduction. So my name is Kiki Cyrus. I am owner of Kiki's Chicken and Waffles. We've been in business since 2012. Me and my husband, we started just from a dream that we always had. And you know, we've grown so far. And so this is just about my family. My husband Tyrone, and I have one son who's 9, and he's an actor and model. So if you guys watch Abbott Elementary, he was on Mother's Day episode. So check him out. He had like 2 lines. But he's just starting out, so that's like one of his biggest gigs. So so again about me and my husband. Tyrone is my husband. I graduated from USC in 2009 with a degree in marketing and sports entertainment management. So I do not have a culinary background. I just had that passion to cook and be in the kitchen and one day own my own restaurant. And so that's what I did. I started out working at California Dreamin' while I was at USC. And so we learned the ins and outs there. And I met my husband there. He was working there as a chef as well. I started out working in the front of the house and worked my way to the back of the house. So a lot of people don't know, I used to be in the back making the best California Dream salads ever, and I probably still can do it pretty well too. But learning the restaurant business is so important. I always get the question of, I want to open up my own restaurant, Kiki, what should I do? And I always ask them, have you worked in a restaurant before? And they're like, no, but I can cook. It's totally different. You have to know the restaurant business. And so how many of you have been in a restaurant and see open tables and wonder why you're on a wait? So, restaurants do that because they want to control the back of the house. So they want to make sure that they have customers wait at the door rather than wait at the table, because it's much better that way. And so be mindful when you go into restaurants and you see that. So where it all began, once again, we started with California Dreamin'. I've worked at a number of restaurants before, just learning the business. And to tell you a quick story, me and my husband, we went to Atlanta to try out this place called Gladys Knight Chicken and Waffles. They're no longer open, but when we went there, we stood in line for 2 hours to get in this restaurant. And so we started brainstorming, like, you know what, let's bring a Kiki chicken and waffle spot to Columbia. And so that's what we did. We came back, we started brainstorming, we got a realtor to help us find a location, came up with the name, which is my nickname. And actually, we weren't even married yet. We were just dating. And I was like, you want to name this restaurant after me? We're not even married yet. He was like, no, it's not. I do want to do that. I don't want to name it anything else. And now, Kiki's, when you say Kiki, they know what chicken and waffle, our restaurant, Kiki's. And so I'm glad we did that. And so we talked to other restaurant owners and people in the business about how to do it, and they helped us out so much, and they still help us out to this day. So once again, we opened our doors August 18th, 2012. We had a small restaurant in Spring Valley, sat down in the cut. Have you guys tried El Salto's before? This is really good, but that's our old location. And it was so small. We only had probably about 15 employees, limited menu. And we had a limited menu because we didn't want to have a huge menu because the place was so small. We just chicken and waffles, we had salmon, we had, things that people can try out if they didn't like chicken, but it was very small menu. And when we first opened, it was very, very slow. Like, I was like, did we make the right decision? What's going on? And then we just started having people come in and talk about us and putting our pictures on Facebook of our food. And then Instagram was just kind of getting started as well. And that's pretty much what put us on the map. And so when we first opened, we started to get busy. And then 2013, that's when we got our food truck. And most people do the food truck first, and then they get the brick and mortar, but we did it backwards. And the food truck was our way to market our business to people around Columbia. And so we utilize our food truck to go to call centers. We did festivals, but now we don't do as much festivals. We do more of organized events, like go to schools. We have principals that call and say, hey, we want to pay for lunch for our teachers. Can you guys come out? And so we do stuff like that. We go to churches, family reunions. We've done weddings, all types of stuff with our food truck. So these are, people always ask, how do you get famous people to your restaurant, Kiki? You know what? I still don't know. People come, to South Carolina, they always ask, what's a good place to eat soul food? And so we're pretty much the only one that really has a sit-down restaurant and have a good atmosphere and whatnot. And so Joe Biden, he came to the restaurant. We also had Hillary Clinton come to the restaurant as well. And, having the right people in place, like our marketing team, we use Blueprint marketing in the beginning. And they helped us so much. Kiki, you need to get this. You need to be on billboards, and you need to have radio advertisements. And so listening to the right people really helped us. So the picture of our food, if you haven't tried this out, so that's our red velvet waffle. And tell you a little story about that. The red velvet waffle was on our dessert menu. And we had so many people ask, Kiki, you need to have a red velvet chicken and waffle. I'm like, I'm not mixing the dessert with fried chicken. It just doesn't match. And so we ended up doing, so now you can get a red velvet chicken and waffle. At first, it was just a dessert waffle. You can get it on top of your food, but listen to what your customers request. And so this is also Hillary Clinton at our restaurant as well. I said I've never been patted down to get into my own restaurant. Patted down to get into my restaurant when they had, had to do their checks or whatnot to make sure that everything was good when the president and vice president came into the restaurant. And so this is our old location. It's very small. We actually went to El Salvador last week and saw how they changed up things. Like, wow, this used to be our spot. And so in 2014, we had so many people on a wait, and we was just like, okay, it's time for us to either look for another location or see what we can do to expand this location. So we reached out to the owner of the shopping center, and he was like, let's see if we can get one of the suite members to move over. And so he got them to move over, and we were able to add in like an opening on that wall to add additional seating. And so that's what we did. And then in 2015, we got opportunity to serve at the Colonial Life Arena, at the women's basketball games, the men's basketball game, and concerts. So we're no longer in there, but it was a good advertisement for us as well in marketing, because people come from all over to see the teams play, and it was like, okay, we can get this, but what do you have at your restaurant? So it was a way to drive people to our restaurant as well. And then in 2016, this building here on Park Lane 2 where we're at now was available, but it was no sign out. I just knew that, it was vacant. And I was like, I reached out to my realtor and I said, hey, we need to find another location. We're just outgrowing our Spring Valley location. And so she found the owner. The owner actually owns Sticky Fingers, if you guys know Sticky Fingers. So he owned this restaurant location, and he was like, you know what, we are in the works of trying to find a new tenant. And so don't be afraid to ask questions, because that's what I did. There was no sign out there. And she reached out to him, and he actually went to our restaurant without us knowing, tried the food, and he was like, let's meet. And that's how we got this location here on 2 and Park Lane. So building a brand people love. Marketing is so important. When we first opened, like I said, with the marketing, I had so many people come to me and say, Kiki, you need to get on billboards, you need to get on the radio. And at that time, when we first started, no one wanted to give us a bank loan. They didn't want to give us our opportunity in our location that we really, really wanted. We got turned down. And it was kind of like, wanted to give up, but I didn't. We just continued to look, and we found our location in the Spring Valley area. And actually that location still had equipment because the previous tenant left without, paying their rent. They just left in the middle of the night, so equipment was there, so it was the perfect location for us, being that we couldn't get a bank loan. And one of the reasons why is because restaurants are very risky, and they're still risky to this day. And then also too, we didn't have the business experience. And so marketing is so key. When we opened, I had a guy from Kiss FM come in. He was like, Kiki, I think you guys should get on the radio. And I was like, you know what? We done spent all this money into this restaurant. I don't have the money to spend in marketing right now. Like, what can you do? Put something down, give me a proposal that will work for what we can spend, and we'll see what we can do. And so he was like, okay. So while I was at USC, I did work for Coach Staley for a number of years. So a lot of people ask me, well, how do I know her? That's how. And he knew that I worked for her. And he was like, Kiki, you should get Coach Staley to do your advertisement for you. And I was like, no, I'm not bothering her. It's basketball season. You coming up. It was August when we opened. I was like, I'm not bothering her. No, I'm not doing it. And so he was like, okay, I'll put together something and I'll come back to you and give you the proposal. So he comes back about 2 weeks later. And he says, Kiki, here's the proposal. I got Coach Staley to do the advertising for you. I was like, what? So he was like, I got her. She said, yeah, she'll do it. We wrote up the script, and she's going to come this day to do it in the recording, room or whatnot. And I was like, are you serious? So I'm on the phone. calling her and saying, I'm so sorry, because I like to ask questions myself, ask people to do things for me myself, and I have someone do it, behind my back. And so she was like, oh, no problem, I don't mind, I'm going to do it for you or whatnot. And that advertisement really helped us out so much. People still talk about the advertisement to this day, and they actually think she owns the restaurant, but she doesn't, but, it really helped us. Also, we updated our branding when we moved into our new location, and I use a company called Trevets in Irmo, and they were very, very essential with helping us rebrand our logo and everything. And we updated our menu based on customers' requests because we never sold mimosas. We started out not serving beer and wine. We didn't have mac and cheese, or I don't think we have collard greens. I can't remember, but I know we didn't have some of the items that we have now. And that's just based on customer asking, hey, Kiki, you guys need to add this, you guys need to add that. And that's what we did. Once again, the marketing magic, how we keep people talking is just, providing good food, having social media, different social media strategies. I actually have a social media team that I hired because social media is the new thing. Like, you got to be on TikTok, you got to be on Instagram. It's like, I can't do it all. Right now, I'm still posting my own social media posts or whatnot, but they come in and do the videos and everything for me and put together like different videos so that I can post and get people to like and watch and rave over our food. And then we also have put different promotions in place, like Waffle Wednesday. So today is Wednesday, and so Waffle Wednesday, you get a free waffle with any entree in our restaurant. You can't get the red velvet waffle or the sweet potato waffle, but you can get any other waffle if you order an entree. And so that's something that we have put in place because people are looking for deals. No one's really spending money like that. I'm not spending money like that because, it's just, the economy is just not where it used to be. And so now you see like the Pizza Hut doing the $2 pizzas and stuff like that, but they're trying to get people out to spend money. Even though if you don't want to cook, come out and get something. And our word of mouth, has helped out so much. And that's one of the reasons too we get the celebrities in, because people always talk about Kiki's and the place to be, to have that good atmosphere, to hang out with your family, enjoy a good meal. Smart growth. So how we expanded to multiple locations. So we do have 2 locations. We have one of 2 Notch and Park Lane, and then we just opened, we're hitting the year mark of our Charleston location off of Rivers Avenue. And a lot of people always ask, well, how do you do that? And, my husband, bounced back and forth through the Columbia locations, and, I still do like the payroll and all that good stuff. And when I say I do payroll, I just make sure I'm looking over the hours, and then I send it over to Paychecks, and they do all that stuff for me. And those are the type of systems and processes that we have put into place over time because we just can't do it ourselves. You want to make sure that you have a CPA on board, someone to handle your bookkeeping, which I do because I don't know accounting like that. I just know how to look at my numbers and make sure everything is looking good and all that good stuff, but they handle all that for me. And then also too with our Charleston location, I'm from Charleston, my family still lives down there, so my brother and sister and one of my managers I brought from Columbia went down to Charleston, so they're running that location. So I feel so much better than just having an outside person come in to run that location. DoorDash. So we're on DoorDash and Uber Eats, and I think it's another company that wants us to get on there. But now we've learned that people like to be, they don't want to wait. They want to be in the comfort of their homes. And so it was very hard for us to get on DoorDash. We was like, we're not doing that. It's just too much. Because we knew our to-go traffic was already pretty big. But it was one of the best decisions that we made because people just like to have food delivered to them. And so that's what we incorporated probably about 2 years ago. And then also having those key partnerships is so important. So one of our good partners is U.S. Foods. We know that we can call them up and say, hey, this is what we got going. Well, how can you help us? And they've helped us since day one. And so we know that if Cisco comes to our door, it's like, we're loyal to US Foods because they helped us out so much. So overcoming challenges. So, with the good, you always have some type of challenges, and the turnover of staff is like our number one. No one wants to be a server all their life, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing because our servers do make good money, but the turnover is always up there. But we do pride ourselves on that family-oriented atmosphere, and so they love working for us. A lot of people always say, Kiki, you guys always take care of your staff, and we do our end of the year party, Christmas party, where we give out PlayStations and Xboxes and all that good stuff. And we have to do, not saying we have to, but we do those things so we show them that we care, because they do a lot for us by being open 7 days a week and putting in a lot of hours. In COVID, which hit the hospitality industry so hard, it affected us a lot, because when we had 100+ staff, now it's probably down to about 80 between our Columbia locations. So that's a good amount of staff to have to manage. But during COVID, we came up with the seasoned chicken breading. And that partnership that we have with US Food is like, okay, let's come up with something where people can, cook chicken in their homes if they don't want to come out. And they had us meet with AdLu, and so they helped us come up with the chicken breading. And we had to, come to the table probably about 10 times to get the seasoning just right. So that, and this breading is seasoned, so you really don't have to season your chicken. Clean your chicken, if you clean your chicken. I know that's a big thing on social media. Season, you put the breading on there and you just fry it, and the taste is almost pretty much just like if you buy it in a restaurant. And you can buy our breading in any of our locations and Amazon. And then expansion and finding the right location. So a lot of people ask, well, how do you know when it's the right time? How do you know where to go? Well, we knew that we had a lot of people traveling from Newberry, Spartanburg. So we knew, like, okay, let's get a location off of Bauer Parkway in that area. And so that's where we decided to get a location there. And then Charleston location was just, my hometown. And I knew that a lot of people travel from Charleston. And it's just the right move for us to get a location off of Rivers Avenue. So it's doing good, but just want to get the word out, because Charleston's a tough market. You got so many different restaurants to compete against. So it's slowly, gradually, growing to where we want it to be. And I would say the lessons learned, with having a restaurant is being consistent. Sometimes it's kind of hard to be consistent, especially with the staff, because everyone wants to do whatever they want to do. You have a young staff. And sometimes they don't want to listen, and then hiring the right people, which is always tough, because a lot of people don't know when you hire people, it's like they put on that front, and then when they start working, it's like, really, what are you doing? And we have tough skin, and we have a big heart, and so sometimes you have a young staff and they don't know. So we're the counselor, we're the mom and dad, because some of these servers, they don't have parents, they don't have mentors. So we're that mentor, that parent that they don't have. And so sometimes when I get messages about hey, your server did this. It just takes a lot, sitting down with them, explaining to them how to do things. And of course, training is important as well. But, sometimes you can do training, but they're still do things that they're not supposed to do. And, when you have a big staff, you have to keep those things in mind. So what's next for Kiki's? The introducing of new items. So we're going to add frozen daiquiris to our menu. And then also we are going to... it was one other thing. Oh, add a family meal to our plan, where you can, to our menu, where you can order like 10 wings or 10 assorted chickens, and then 2 sides and corn muffins and a sweet tea, and you have your whole meal at home. So that's one of the things that we're going to introduce soon. And then you guys are the first to know, Gather. We're going to get a location out of Gather. So they're supposed to introduce it this week. And so building those relationships are once again so important because we got an email from the owner of Gather last year sometime, and I already knew what Gather was. And you know, just the fact that they reached out to us and we didn't have to even apply or anything, and you know, they thought of us to bring us out there. So I think this is going to be great for Columbia, great for us because it'll be an addition to our brand, and I'm excited for it. And then the long-term vision for our brand, you know, people always ask Kiki, are you going to franchise or what do you want to do? And I kind of want to franchise, but then I don't because I like to be in our business. And when you have a franchise, it's like you can't see everything. You know, you got locations everywhere, and it's kind of hard to manage that. And so I'm still up in the air of what I really want to do with the Kiki's brand, but hopefully one day we'll know exactly how we're going to grow Kiki's to more than the 3 locations that we do have. My advice for entrepreneurs, so research and understand your market. That's what we did, and I still do it to this day. Seeing what's out there, what's new, how can I pivot, how can I do certain things like the family meals. That's what people are looking for, a deal to feed their whole family. Changing the menu when you need to. Don't grow fast. A lot of people try to open up locations all over the place. If you're not ready, don't do it just because Jane is doing it over there. Just do it when you're ready and when it's the right time. Stay motivated because it can be tough. You know, some days you're trying to add up things and the things not adding up because, you know, you spent money over here and you need to buy this and you need to buy that, but you have to stay motivated. Build those strong relationships is very key. Attending these events like this is so important because you meet people and they can put you in contact with so many different people that you may not know. And that's one thing I've learned because sometimes I guess I can say I'm an introvert. I stay to myself and I don't attend certain events because I just don't have the time, but you have to make the time. Listen to people that's where you're trying to go. And you know, sometimes you may have someone who knows your business or whatnot, and you know, they're not where you're trying to go, but I believe if someone's where you're trying to go, you should listen to them and take their advice because they know and they understand it. And then ask for help when you need it. Don't ask for help when you don't need it because you know, you don't want to wait too late. And that's one of the things that I've always done is always kept my mentor, someone I can call in my back pocket because they understand. They've been there and they've done that. And that's it.
Two things I just want you to know. Kiki, this is part of our Made It series. She is one of the bigger entrepreneurs here in Columbia, and so we're grateful. Thank you for taking the time to do this. And she attends our meetings regularly. She is always here. You'd never know that this was Kiki here, just in the corner of the room. So for her, who is her, to be here as often as she is, I mean, we're just grateful. So thank you for all of that. And now I'm going to open it up to the room. So raise hands, we'll call on you, and off we go. Ready? Set, go.
Bob.
Yeah. I love your food, first of all. If I could ask, this is years down the road. Do you have an exit strategy where you sell it ultimately, maybe pass off to family members?
So Bob, if someone says, Kiki, I want to give you this certain amount and this is a high dollar amount that looks good, I will sell it off. I will sell it off.
Yes.
How did you run across the doula? How did you know that breading, and to make that connection was a good step for you?
Because I knew that a lot of people weren't coming out during COVID. They weren't coming in to eat, and they were doing to-go orders. So, you knew that people wanted to stay in the comfort of their homes, and just like, okay, our chicken is what people rave about. And so maybe we come up with something where the seasoning is already prepared in the breading, and they can fry chicken at home.
Any plans to put it in grocery stores?
I do want to. So it's just finding the right avenue of how to get there, because I know it's not easy. So just trying to find a way to get there. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question is, especially in the restaurant industry with such thin margins typically, how like, were you able to scale and do it in a way that still stayed true to the brand and maintain the credibility of?
So I would say meeting the right people. So, when we first, remember I said we couldn't get a loan when we first started out? Once we kind of built our brand and people knew who we were, we can go to a bank and say, hey, we're Kiki's. Oh, you're Kiki's? Okay, what do you need? And those are the type of things that happen after we opened and built those relationships is, they were ready to, give us a loan. Banks only make money by giving out loans. And once you have that credibility, those doors open up. So building those relationships are so important. And also having those banking relationships as well. So, not just talking to the teller when you go in and, make deposits. You got to actually talk to a bank officer, so that you ask for money when you don't need it. So when you do need it, you have it there.
Yes.
Oh, she made it. I love those stories. So thank you for being so amazing. And the story behind it, I love stories, of course. I would love to have you on my podcast. But what is the biggest thing for entrepreneurs growing, especially when they're at the small scale, that one advice that you would give them, especially when you hit that low point, or just that one thing that you would say that this is to keep growing, especially for entrepreneurs that need that one advice?
I would say having that mentor in place, because it's so key when you don't have anyone to talk to and share what you're going through with. It's tough, and I'm spiritual, so I talk to God and pray all the time. But having that person to actually sit down and say, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to do it. It is important because, when you have so many things in your mind and you don't know how to do it, it just can kind of be confusing and make you want to give up, on the whole business thing. And like this week or this past weekend, how a lot of restaurants have closed their doors. And part of it is not having the right pieces in place. And when I say pieces, they don't have the CPA, they don't have the bookkeeper, they haven't, they don't know how to, just keep things in order and accepting Cash App, accepting Zelle. And so I work for the SBDC, if you guys don't know that. And I was hired to, make sure that businesses are doing things the right way and growing smart and not growing the wrong way. Just teaching them that you have to have those things in place and you have to know how to do things correctly in order for you to grow. Because when you go into the bank and you need this money when things get tight, where's your P&L? How much money are you spending? You don't know that. How's a bank going to know if they can give you this loan if they can't see your numbers?
Yeah, that was something fundamental. I remember going 10 years ago to this young lady that was big in the restaurant business. And actually to be my mentor, she said she was too busy. So and sometimes when you get that no, it's hard sometimes to pursue another mentor.
You're not asking the right person. When somebody tells you no, you got to move on to the next person. Some people are tight-lipped and they're afraid that you're going to get ahead of them. You got to, ask the right person. Not everyone's afraid to give you information.
Thank you for that.
Oh, hold on. Here, then Sandra, and then Adina, and then Casey up front.
I think the story also, though, is your patience. Y'all asking about growing. You define your own success. See, what we do sometimes is we look at everybody else, and that's the success I want. But you decided, this is my success, our success, what success looks like for us.
Right.
So you don't have to have 4 or 5 locations. You don't have to grow. You can grow slow. You can grow smart. Let's call it that. And I've been following you. I live off of Raven Road.
Okay.
So I've been following them since they opened. And that, you got to be patient and you've got to be secure in who you are.
Right.
Because all this advice you're going to get in the environment is driven by other people's experience. But what success looked like for you and your husband is on y'all.
Yeah.
And we get lost sometimes. I want to be Walmart. I want to be McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or whatever. That's them. you know, I applaud you because you guys, I've seen you go from right there where Saltos is now to Park Lane and Decker and up to Harbison and then down to Charleston. So I applaud you for that because it was patient. It was planned out.
Thank you.
So I love living in the mindset of the entrepreneur through the business cycle. And I have a project called the Growth Path Project, and that's what I figured because I felt so stuck for so long in the startup. I had this great idea and I was stuck, Kiki. And in that time, as a mom, there were, you know, proms and there was teeth being lost and there was, you know, periods coming and all this mom stuff that you're like, PNL, wait a second, somebody forgot their socks. So I'm very curious about that, Kiki, as a mom with children, as a wife, maintaining this relationship, as a woman in today's age. I'd love to hear a little bit about that mindset behind the result that we see.
Oh man, so when we first started, didn't have the kids, you know, like I said, the boyfriend at the time. So as we grew our family and things started to change in our life and our family, you know, set aside that time for family is so important. Like, you know, I just came back from a cruise. So, you know, having those people in place so that you can do those things. And when we first opened, when we were new at it and we got married, like 1 year in to our restaurant, we had to close. So those type of things, either, you know, close the business because you know that they're not ready to run it by themselves. You have to do those things. But I always tell people who have businesses, you have to set aside that time because if not, you know, you can just run yourself ragged. Restaurant business, you're there 7 days a week. 20. We were there from open to close because we didn't trust anybody. So now we can be able to say, okay, I'm out of here at 5. But before, and we used to open to 2 a.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I don't know how we did it, but from 2 a.m. we were open, and we were there from open to close. So now it's just like, okay, my husband's, he's off on Mondays and Tuesdays, and, you know, I don't go into the restaurant as much because we have put people in place and the system and processes in place. You know, my son does the audition, so we're setting up the tripod, doing videos and sending them off. So it keeps us busy, but we have to set aside that time to know, okay, restaurant here, you know, other businesses here, and family time here, husband here, you know, that type of thing.
Hi. No, I'm hungry. I just want you to know that. My protein shake this morning is not cutting it. Right. So you talked about, correct me if I'm wrong, when you opened the Charleston location, that you have family that you're working with now. That can be pros and cons. So can you speak a little bit about that when there's been a situation within the family, how you maintain professionalism and a business mindset amidst the relationship of family? Because you still have to see these people on holidays.
Right.
And work with them.
Right. So my grandparents, they used to own a cab stand in Charleston area. And one thing he told me before we opened that location, because he knew I had our family working in the location, he said, make sure to separate family from your business. So if things happen, like, you know, we get in a spat of what needs to be done, you leave that in the restaurant and then, hey, Kiki, how's it going, sis? How you doing, brother? You know, you leave that, you keep it separate because you don't want to bring that in between because if you do, you won't have a family, you know? So I have to meet them where they're at. My brother is 31 and my sister is 25, I think, 24, 25. And so they basically run that restaurant. They've worked in the Columbia locations before, so they understand the business. And the manager I brought down there, he's been with us for about 7-8 years, so he understands the business. And so when we have our weekly meetings through Zoom or whatnot, you know, we discuss things and I just meet them where they're at. So they have to understand from an owner's point of view on certain things. And so understanding that you have to put in that work before you see what Columbia locations are doing. And so that's the toughest thing that I have to deal with them because they're young and they want things to be microwave fast and they want things to come, Kiki, can you show us? And those are the type of things that you have to do if they don't understand. You can't just tell them, you have to show them, this is how you do it. This is how you hire good staff. You have to get out there and, let people know where we're at because we're new down there. So those are the type of things that I have done and continue to do, with having them as, my family and not just someone that I hired in, So.
I imagine there's clear expectations in the beginning.
Yes, clear expectations. Just explaining what we expect from them, being that we're not there, and we do show up there, every weekend if we don't have any catered events here.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question was about whether or not you'd marry him again after you've been in business with him. I think you kind of addressed that as far as the family stuff is concerned. Can you talk a little bit about your business processes, and especially as you start to duplicate across multiple locations? How did you formalize those processes? Who did you put in charge of that? And then what would you recommend other folks that are looking at expansion to put on paper? And which things do you think are sort of flexible?
So when I got introduced to Paychecks, they helped us to put an employee manual together. And then actually Cheryl Sally that used to work for the SBDC met with her and she told me how to come up with the system and plan in place and put it on paper so that when I hire new staff, they understood what they need to do when they open, when they close. And so those are the type of things that I have built across over the years to put in place. And so now our staff, new staff of course have to look at that, but our staff that comes in, if they're trained right, they know how to follow those processes. And so when they come in, they know how to open, they know the daily tasks of setting up the line, DHEC checks, all that good stuff is already put in place. And that's key because when you open up a business, it's okay, let's just go from, what's in our head. But if you're not there, how are they going to get it out your head if you're not there? So, hiring the right people, training them correctly, and putting those certain processes in place is so important. And a lot of people don't know about events like this, the SBDC, SCORE. I'm a researcher, so I found out about those organizations before we opened by just searching online. And so they helped me so much. And so that's why it's full circle coming back and work for the SBDC to show people that the help is here and it's free. And so utilizing them when you need it.
Time to open more. Yes, go right ahead.
Back to the breading, what was your time frame between when you got the idea and when it was executed, and then also what was your biggest obstacle with that?
I would say the timeline probably was about 6 months, if that, and it was pretty quick because we weren't open yet. We weren't open because of COVID, so we had time to meet with them and get the seasoning correct. And that was the biggest challenge, was getting it right. Asking them, okay, what do you put on your chicken to season your chicken? What type of breading do you use now for the chicken? And so, going back and forth there, and then him going back to Alu and putting in the seasoning that we have requested and just getting that taste right so that it can match what we serve in the restaurant.
Real quick question. Do you have a training manual?
I do.
Yeah.
So what's a realistic expectation for how long, you say you were consistent, how long you can actually, before you pay yourself in your business, how long was it before you actually see that?
Oh man. So when we first started, we weren't paying ourselves. And that's where we messed up at. And I wouldn't say mess up. I would say we kind of did it the wrong way. We should have been paying ourselves, and if we wanted to, put the money back into the business. And because at that time we had just got married, maybe about 6 or 7 months into the restaurant, and then we wanted to buy a house. We weren't paying ourselves, so it wasn't showing any income for ourselves, and so we had to kind of lay off buying the house. So I always tell people, pay yourself, and if your business needs the money, just put it back into the business so you can show that you're actually making money and have that W-2 income. When we first started, we weren't paying ourselves, and I would say probably about a year or two in, that's kind of when we started to, adding ourselves to payroll and everything like that, and just making sure that all the numbers were good so that we wouldn't, a lot of people always try to take losses too with their business, which is it's an okay thing in the beginning, but when you want to get loans and you want to buy, your catering vehicles or something like that, you have to show that you're making a profit. And so those things are very, very important to do.
This isn't really a question, but I just want to say thank you because it's very inspiring.
Thank you.
To hear that this is not just a business for you, right? That you have a heart to see it succeed, and that's evidenced by you always scanning the horizon, meeting their customers, listening to them, pivoting during COVID. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right.
He's here and then Jimmy.
I also want to say thank you. I was a very, very early buyer from Kiki Chicken and Waffles. We lived right around the corner, and I used to walk.
Oh,
Like I used to walk and go and get my chicken and waffles in the mornings. We've done poetry at your restaurant, and it's always just been a pleasure to be in there. So, and I'm branded for life.
Thank you.
I used to come to the very first restaurant.
Thank you.
But I'm a little concerned about some things that I don't know if people know. A young lady that's one of our street owners, she took out a loan that was like $30,000, and she ended up filing bankrupt because she found out that the loan was going to cost her rather about $200,000. Like what? She paid it off in 30 years. So I want people to be aware of things that's out there as far as loans that's coming out that they're getting and not realizing how much it's costing them in the end. In our business, we've always used our own money to fund all of our business deals. I just want them to be aware of what they are asking, putting your house up and stuff like that. Just be aware as business owners what they're asking for.
Right, yeah, that's so true. I'm very adamant about not using my home as a line of credit. A lot of people, can do that, but you have to be willing to, pay that loan back and not be late because, you got to have a place to live. So, you have those certain rules in place. Like, look, I'm not ever touching my home if, things get tight. Private investors, reach out to private investors. And sometimes when you really, really need it, you try to sign anything, but you can't do it. You got to read that fine print, have someone look over it for you,
The other part to that, though, Julie, is when you build in savings for the builder, you not only pay yourself, you pay the business. And see, what we don't do is build that budget out and have money that is not allocated towards some kind of line item. It's just the business gets this percentage. What that builds you is your contingency. So you're sitting on cash. And we think it's a strange idea for small businesses, but Apple's sitting on what, 300 billion? 3.4 billion. Cash.
Yes.
With 3.4 billion, and they can do whatever they want to do, but they started that when they first opened. They started building a cash reserve. And what we have to do is first pay yourself, cover your costs, but one of those line items needs to be a contingency fund where there's some money because hard times come. None of us can have counted on COVID. And if you have a contingency fund, I say this, I worked at Kramer Craftsman in Milwaukee, and they had 3 years of contingency fund. When COVID hit, they didn't lay anyone off. They had, their contingency fund was their operating costs. So they had 3 years of operating costs. They didn't fire a soul. They paid everybody. Now, can you imagine what their workforce is like when they came out of COVID? Them folks are like, hey, I'm here forever.
But that makes you ask the other question, because you cannot build a contingency fund if you are not charging right, if you're in a market that is undervaluing what your service is and what the value is that you're bringing. So, yeah, you need it. But if you're in startup mode and you're in a market that is not growing and fostering your business, now we have to ask that question: how do we do that?
You start with pennies. You're not saving up. We can have that conversation. Yeah, we can have that conversation. This is an argument that is eternal. The short answer to that
evergreen.
If you save $1 off of every transaction, you're saving something. It may not pay your rent, but you're saving something. To Chef Jay's point, if you have money, there comes a point in time, and Thad has finally convinced me of this through conversation. If I'm sitting on money, I still may need a line of credit, but it's easier to get a line of credit if you have money in the bank. So, you know, I mean, I'm averse to credit.
Last
question, Anthony.
What can 1 million cups come do?
Support our mom and pop local restaurants. That's it.
All right, everyone. Well, that's it. You can still mingle. You can hang. We're good, but thank you for staying.
I know, it's a bit, just try to soak in what you can that day. wanted to meet you in person tonight and say hi. It was like, I'm glad I had this second background. Yeah, and then like Caroline, so I had 6 months with her, and then she left, and there was like, you're alone, and then now she is here, and he's like, getting her I love it. Learning a lot, and it's quiet right now.
Virtual assistant. That sounds interesting. Are you an author? I'm a publisher. Publisher? Yeah. Oh my god. So I need some virtual assistant. That's incredible.
Yeah, I would like your information as well. I haven't met a virtual assistant in person. Oh, okay. Dana, and then that's a Ned. So she's a book publisher. So I have a web design business. Children's publisher. Yeah, let me just share. For instance, Instagram. I am. That's on here. Well, it's at the bottom of my Instagram. So you're a recruiter and specialize in sales reps and then virtual assistants. So we help match people with the talent. The virtual assistant. Okay. They presented a few weeks ago. Yeah, no, it's another meeting activity. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you'll send me a message, I can connect you on there. That's really cool. Yeah, I should put that on my card. Yeah, I gotta get my little like digital card set up because I hate it. Oh, this is wonderful. I want things because like sometimes the digital card doesn't work as smoothly, or like my problem is I will get the person's info and then I'll leave the event and forget their name. It's then I have to scroll and like yeah. So the card, so I'm like okay, maybe now like but yeah, it's great. Well, yeah. Good to see you. When I was young. Hey, Annette.
Yeah, I work in the stock, so you are different.
Hey, so what do you do?
Oh, wow. You know, since you're looking at the name tag, I am. Yes, yeah, I know, right? A month.